Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Almost Dropouts podcast. I'm your host, Daivik, and today I have my friend Sanid with me. Sanid, you want to introduce yourself?
Hey guys, I'm a third year student at UBC Van. I'm studying electrical engineering, and thanks for having me on, brother. I'm excited to be on.
Yeah, I'm really excited to have you on as well. And to add to that, Sanid just finished an internship at Deloitte, and he's about to go to Microsoft. So definitely has a lot of interesting stuff in the horizon. I thought it'd be a nice podcast to talk about stuff with him. So let's begin. I guess let's start from the beginning. I know your journey is like unique, but at the same time very common, where you didn't really know what you wanted to do in high school, and you sort of just stumbled into engineering. But let's talk about like how that process started and some of the experiences you went through when you're trying to figure out what you want to do, and then how you came to terms with engineering and stuff.
For sure, man. For sure. Yeah, as you said, my journey was pretty unique. I didn't. I think it's unique and relatable at the same time. I didn't know what to do, but luckily, I uh, landed in a position where I'm actually enjoying what I'm doing now. So it all started from high school. I was really oblivious. I didn't know what to do in high school. I it was like grade 12 senior year, and I wasn't really too stuck on something that I knew for a fact that I would enjoy
Hmm.
after university. And so in high school, like I was smart. I wasn't no Albert Einstein. I knew how to work hard, so I was like, yo, let's give engineering a shot.
Hmm.
And yeah, so as I went to engineering in university, I actually started to enjoy it. And uh, yeah, man, it was a long journey. Like specifically, uh, what do you want me to touch base on
Yeah.
everything that's happened?
No, for sure. Yeah, let's talk. We can talk about some specifics.
Yeah.
I guess starting off, because you weren't as sure if you wanted to be in engineering and stuff like that. Let's talk about adjusting in first year. How was that?
For sure, man. Yeah, adjusting in first year, it was pretty cool. So, as you guys all know, I go to UBC Vancouver. So, it was a pretty cool adjustment in living by yourself for the first time, not being with your parents.
Yeah.
And it was, you kind of had to fend for yourself for the first time, like in like 18 years.
Uh-huh.
So, socially, I really enjoyed like, getting to meet people from so many different backgrounds. And it
Hmm.
was kind of the first time where you're kind of meeting people all across the world, like in depth, and
Yeah.
making some really cool experiences, making some really cool memories with, just a bunch of really cool people. And
Uh-huh.
so socially, I adapted pretty well. I really enjoyed first year,
Uh-huh.
and academically, in terms of, I started to really actually enjoy engineering. Luckily, because I know for a lot of kids, they actually don't enjoy what they choose in high school. And I don't even blame them because I mean, you're just choosing something that you don't know what it is until you try it, right?
Hmm.
So
For sure.
I started to actually enjoy the process of engineering because of all. I just really like the idea of being able to create something just out of the thought in your mind. The
Right.
ability
Right.
to kind of just manifest something in your mind and make it this cool physical thing. And
Uh-huh.
in terms of the direction that I found myself going into, I started doing a lot more research in terms of the different specializations in engineering because we all know
Hmm.
that the specializations in engineering are so different from each other. Like
Hmm.
chemical engineering is nothing like software engineering, which is nothing like mechanical engineering. They're so
Yeah.
different,
Yeah.
right? Almost like they're different faculties almost. And so
Yeah.
I started, I got really interested in tech as it was obviously the most trendy thing. But
Uh-huh.
at the same time, I was also very fascinated with how much you were able to do. Like, you could be in a remote area and still be able to do things that could make an impact worldwide with all
Right.
the startups we see and all of that sort of stuff. And in particular, the reason I chose to go into electrical engineering was because I really like the all encompassing aspect of it,
Uh-huh.
like the ability to kind of create from the ground up, from hardware to software and all the little trinkets in between. And
Hmm.
I started looking at a lot of cool things, like people like Nikola Tesla and people like Steve Wozniak, who were both electrical engineers, and such big impact they had on,
Right.
like all of freaking society. It was pretty cool. So I got into electrical engineering, and that's how I decided to choose my specialization.
Mhm.
And yeah, and then after that, I mean, in terms of academics and specialization I wanted to go into, I was pretty set on that, and that
Mhm.
was going all well and handy dandy or whatever. But uh,
Handy dandy. I like that.
yeah, but in terms of career, I still
Yeah.
had no idea. I was very new to the aspect of job recruitment and all that sort of stuff. Because for
Mhm.
people who don't know, so in Waterloo, the process obviously starts, as soon as you're a first year kid.
Mhm.
So it really engages you in the job recruitment process. Meanwhile, at UBC Vancouver, one of the reasons I actually chose UBC was because I was still like unsure on what type of engineering I wanted to do. So
Right.
UBC allowed you to do first year general, which gave me a little bit of time to, kind of think
Figure that
about my
out. Yeah.
decision.
Mhm.
Yeah, stuff was that sort. But at the same time, for us, co-op or whatever doesn't actually start until the end of your second year or third year.
Right.
And so career wise, I was still a little bit, not even a little bit. I was hella confused. I was like, yo, I was like, what am I supposed to do, man? Um,
Right.
and so, yeah, first year, I think when it was around December, January timeframe,
Mhm.
I started to apply to a bunch of engineering jobs just because I was thinking about, I shouldn't let the summer go to waste. And pretty much first year summer, I just didn't get any jobs out of nowhere. I mean, I was just a first year student right out of high school,
Yeah.
with a bunch of like the classic volunteering stuff from high school, maybe a couple of first year
The
projects here and there.
clubs, the sports.
Of course,
Yeah.
those I basically copy and pasted my university application because I didn't know any better.
Yeah. Yeah.
And as everyone could guess, that really didn't get me anywhere. I basically landed nothing in first year summer. I didn't
Mhm.
even know what like the idea of landing a job was, right?
Right.
So first year summer comes around. I had a blast in first year. I loved all the experiences, but then summer comes around. I go back home to Calgary,
Mhm.
and I really have 4 months where, yeah, I'm with my family. It's awesome chilling for 4 months, but at the same time, I didn't want to let the 4 months go to waste.
Mhm.
And I was like, I should do something, but here's the problem: I didn't know what to do, right? And
Right, because
so,
you don't know, like, what job you wanna get in the future and
exactly.
accordingly, what skills to build, right?
Yeah, exactly. So I know a lot of kids nowadays are very set on their aim right from high school, and
Right.
I definitely wasn't one of those kids. I had my, I started to gain exposure to the world of tech, to the world of software a little bit later in my
Mhm.
university journey. So what happened was, I think one of my friends, when I was dropping him off to the movies or something, we were just talking like, "Yo, what are your plans for this summer? Are you working? What are you doing? Are you like improving your skills somehow?" And so
Right.
he was like, "Yo, I'm actually doing this coding boot camp at this place called Lighthouse Labs."
Mhm.
And I was like, it seemed like something that really developed your skills and got you into the world of software. And
Right.
I knew that software was like obviously booming, right?
Mhm.
So I was like, yo, why not? This um, seems like a good use of my time. It's better than, just chilling for all 4 months, obviously. So I got introduced to this coding boot camp, and I
Mhm.
did that basically all throughout first year summer.
Mhm.
And that really allowed me to, instead of just, learning software skills, obviously that was a big aspect of it, but I also gained a lot of exposure into the world of tech.
Mhm.
And I got to meet a lot of people at boot camp who are still mentors to me till this day.
Right.
And it really gave me some kind of, exposure and point of view and perspective into,
Right.
here are the goals that you need to do. This is the amount of work you got to put in, and now you just have to grind. Like, now I actually knew what I had to do, right?
Right,
To
and you got to experience and have some exposure to a skill or a job that, you were considering, or you didn't know, but after doing that, you were able to consider it as a full-time option as well.
Exactly. I actually really enjoyed the software aspect of it. Again,
Mhm.
coding to me is kind of like creativity.
Right.
And so it really appealed to me during that summer. And I was
Mhm.
like, okay, now I know what to do. I can really use my work ethic to work hard at that. And so all throughout that summer and throughout second year, what happened
Right.
was I kind of got exposure into the world of software because obviously that industry kind of had so many opportunities and lured me specifically.
Yeah, yeah.
So, along with school and developing all my electrical engineering skills, I was trying to kind of work more towards software on the side as well by
Mhm.
doing things like such as hackathons, which I think are something great for students to get experience and maybe get something on their resume that will help them stand out.
Mhm.
And also because get to meet some really cool and smart people. And so I
Oh, yeah.
started to do stuff like hackathons, just um, quote unquote side projects where you can just do anything you're passionate about. Like
Yeah.
I'm really passionate about athletics and sports, so try to mix some of your skills and see how you can apply it to the field that you're really passionate about, whether it be music, sports, art, something of that sort, right?
Right.
So I kind of spent my second year improving those skills, and I was in a really work hard mode. And
Mhm.
yeah, and then so that all of that happened in second year. I'm trying
Mhm.
to see if I'm missing anything.
So
I
second
don't
year,
think
you
so.
really you embraced the grind in second year.
Yeah, you can say I embraced the grind. I was like, I was kind of trying to make up internally for first year, or
Right.
not in terms like I worked really hard first year in terms of academics and school, but I tried to make up for the fact that I was introduced to like the aspect of job recruitment and all of that sort of stuff a little bit late than
Right.
usual.
Mhm.
So I was like, yo, let's start grinding. At least let's get some sort of base point, right, to work off of.
Right.
So second year, all of that happens, and then boom, second end of second year, I get this like huge reality check. Like probably like some crazy shit happened. I went through this medical emergency at the end
Mhm.
of second year during my exams. Because of that medical emergency, I had to miss even a couple exams, and the internship I had gotten for second year summer just completely was out of the window because I had to spend those couple of months like recovering, and there are just a bunch of other complications that I had to go through. But
Yeah.
honestly, it was such a big reality check, and I think sometimes a lot of students kind of need to gain perspective on stuff that really matters. So
Mhm.
yeah, I kind of spent those couple of months just being thankful that hey, I had a medical emergency, but I'm so thankful and grateful that I'm going to be all right after this. And it kind of put a lot of things into perspective
Right.
where how I embraced all that grind hard mode during second year. I kind of lost perspective on things that really matter, like spending time like to improve on things that you're passionate about, and like your artistic side, and just improving yourself emotionally as well.
Yeah. Yeah, like keeping
And
both sides in check and balance
exactly.
is really important. Yeah.
Yeah, and so second year summer, I think it was at the time I was a little bit bummed out that hey, I missed my like first what was going to be my first internship, but at the same time I was like you got to look at everything that happens to you in a positive manner because like
Yeah.
I like to believe that everything happens for a reason, right?
Mhm.
So second year summer, I kind of spent, also trying to take use of the opportunity I had and just improving myself. And so I don't think people should take improving themselves as, hey, I just gotta like grind on my career, my resume. Improving yourself means like improving yourself in every aspect, right? Whether
Right.
that means
Yeah.
picking up a new skill, learning an old hobby that you had a long time ago, just like anything, like improving your relationships with people.
Mhm.
So I was trying to improve myself as an all around person that second year summer because I was recovering from my medical emergency. So I was like, this is literally the time I have nothing else to do. So I might as well make the most of it, right?
Right. So
And
if we say your first year was sort of you it's like the ideation process of what you should do, and
yeah,
then your second year was sort of a year of extremes, where you were on one extreme where you were going on like a super grinding, and then because of the medical emergency, you were on the other extreme where it's like, what am I like? This is like,
Exactly.
what am I doing?
You go from kind of losing perspective on what really matters, and to this day, even though the medical emergency I had was like a big bummer, like I'm super thankful from the experiences it taught me to like grow as a person.
Right.
And as a result of it, honestly, like I wouldn't change a thing because I feel like of the experiences I went through because of that shaped me like super intensely of like who I am today.
Yeah.
And oh yeah, not to mention second year. So second year was the first year for electrical engineering because you specialize in second year.
Hmm.
And personally, for me, that was a huge jump. First year to second year was like a huge jump. Like I honestly didn't feel the jump from high school to first year as much as I
Hmm.
did from first year to second year
Yeah.
because we were going from general engineering to like electrical engineering, and everyone knows that like ECE is just like super tough and super grindy. So
Right.
on top of that, second year was like extremely like messed up with how hard school was. So
Yeah. I think
yeah, it was definitely one extreme from another extreme for sure.
And I think for me, like you're saying, first year was sort of like the social adjustment where, you have to get used to not being at home and doing stuff on your own and stuff like that. But if that's first year, and second year is really when where your engineering degree starts, where it's like, all right, now that you're ready for this, here's a bunch of work. You're on your path to becoming an electrical engineer or a computer engineer or
Yeah.
whatever engineering
Yeah,
you're part
bro.
of.
Yeah, I completely agree. I know for you that 2A was like really tough as
Oh
well,
yeah,
right?
yeah. Well, I had like 8 courses that semester,
Yeah,
so
man, that's crazy. Absolutely crazy. That's
yeah,
insane.
that yes, sir.
Yeah, for every engineer that's going into electrical or computer, just be ready for that jump, especially if you're going from general to specialization. It can really pick up and catch you off guard because
Hmm.
you might have a tendency to think, oh, like, first year engineering is usually really hyped up. Now that I got past first year successfully, second year shouldn't be too hard. But it was a huge a really big different experience for me in terms of that
Right.
regard. But yeah,
So,
it went from
sorry.
one extreme to another extreme. And
Hmm.
that summer, I'm actually super thankful for because
Hmm.
even though I wasn't able to work that internship in second year summer, a lot of people would be like, the time is ticking. You're already going into your third year without any work experience. But to this day, I feel like um, the amount of productivity I had that second year summer in terms of improving myself uh, as a whole person, and also taking that extra time to improve upon my technical skills and my interviewing skills. Like, I think the experience that I had over that summer was better than any experience I could have had at working at some like random internship.
Right.
And I really, I would say I really attribute a lot of the success I had on landing a couple of internships I have now because of the work I was able to put in that second year summer. So I would just say the lesson is like whatever happens to you, just try to view it in like a positive way,
Hmm.
because there's no point on dwelling on the negativity of a situation because like that's not going to do shit for you, right? Like
Yeah,
if you
that's
just
fair.
view it from a positive situation, hey, you don't know, maybe like what you do now, it might just benefit you way more than what you wanted to happen in the future.
Hmm.
Yeah.
So so to sort of carry on here, so you go on from from your second year summer where you had this medical emergency, and for you, this was supposed to be the summer you got like definitive work experience, not just like the camp, but and like some of the projects you did on the side, but some work experience. So I was just wondering, to how did you go from there, or what do you think what even without that experience helped you get Microsoft? Because I know you got Microsoft in around November or December, I think,
Yeah, I
of
got
your third year, right?
yeah, so um I got the offer for the Microsoft internship, I think in the first half of my third year semester, so like Octoberish.
Right.
And so you were asking like what how I was able to like prepare myself for that process.
Yeah, I think along with that, I think one of the biggest questions students have is, without working experience especially, how can they make themselves competitive candidates? And I mean, in your case, you got the job as well. Um, so I guess what do you attribute to what was on your resume and how you performed in general that you were able to make up for sort of that lack of working experience uh, that you had, and students feel like they have, and were able to still come out as a top candidate for the job.
Oh yeah, for sure, man. So I think you just gotta view it as like, what does work experience mean to a recruiter or a company? It's
Right.
pretty much like a certified stamp that you have some skills, and like it's certified that somebody else has kind of like verified that you're capable of doing that, right? That's kind of
Mhm.
what work experience means to a recruiter.
Fair enough. Yeah.
So, being somebody without any job experience, you got to find a way for yourself to be verified without that work experience stamp, right? So, whatever type of experience you want, whatever type of job experience you want, just try to gain those technical skills, whether it be from like online courses, which I'm a huge advocate for, whether it be from starting with a side project about something you're passionate about, and then seeing from there what skills you need to build to make that project together, and
Mhm.
doing building a lot of technical skills that, hey, since you don't have that work internship, you're going to have to grind like two times harder than the guy who does have it, because you have to make up for it, right? So
Right.
get so strong at the technical skills that you want to apply to future jobs or internships, that you're so confident that in an interview it won't really phase you, because you need to make yourself you need to give yourself that extra edge because you don't have that work experience. So
Right.
yeah, I think one of the best ways that um, like makes you really stand out is making a project that you're really passionate about, and something that you can explain like from the back of your head, like every step of the process. Because a lot of companies during the recruitment process, if you don't have work experience, they'll automatically obviously skip that section of your resume and start picking at your project section, which every intern should have. And when they're picking your mind on your projects, what they're looking for is if you can truly like explain every part of your project, and it's not
Right.
just some random YouTube tutorial you looked up, or
Or like forking a
just
GitHub repo.
exactly. So
Yeah.
it, if you can truly explain your, your thought process throughout the project that you made, why you made some of the business, not business decisions, but like decisions that maybe influence the direction of the whole project,
Right.
stuff of
Mhm.
that sort, it can make you look like a very, very strong candidate for what you might actually have to do during the internship. So if
Mhm.
I were a student, if I were a student who doesn't have any work experience, what I would do is like look at the internships you want to get,
Mhm.
and do a lot of research on what you're actually doing in those roles. Like, for example, if you want to get an internship at Google for like a software engineering internship, maybe go on some online forums, see what the actual interns do on a day to day basis, and
Yeah.
um, maybe try to build those skills by yourself. So when it comes to the interview process, you can, subliminally show them that you have attained those skills throughout, your side projects or
Mhm.
online courses and stuff of that sort.
Yeah, for sure, and I think especially especially in software engineering, that's especially true because you can get a lot of those skills online. And on top of that, I think from my personal experience when I've been like applying to software engineering internships at these big companies, it's really about getting your resume through the door and getting the coding challenge, and then after that, it just comes down to pure technical skill.
Yeah,
And,
definitely.
and how thoroughly you explain your answer.
Yeah,
So you need a way for the parser or the recruiter to look at your resume, even if you don't have work experience, and know that okay, this person will have the technical skill and some of the collaborative aspects and explanation aspects that we want in order to at least get the coding challenge and go to an interview stage.
yeah, I definitely agree. I mean, um, especially when you have no work experience, you really need to improve upon those technical skills. But I
Mhm.
will say, like, for me, for example, like, I have a very outgoing personality. So the behavioral aspect of an interview isn't really something that, like, I usually do a lot of preparation for. But if you're somebody that is completely new to even the behavioral side of how to do interviews and kind of how to present yourself as a personality, then
Right.
like that should also be a focal point of what you should work on.
Hmm.
Because I know a lot of companies nowadays, they're not just looking at if you're a code monkey or if, if all you have is the technical skills. They need somebody with a personality who can like truly integrate well with the team and
Right.
be a leader or be a good team member. So making sure that you present yourself as a complete personality is also like
Mhm.
super important.
And I think actually now that we're talking about it too, I think one of the things people should also look into is like if you're in first year or second year. I know this wasn't in your situation, but I'm saying in general. I know like a bunch of different companies have different programs made to help first year and second year students who might not have that much work experience or any work experience at all. So, like for example, Google has a STEP internship. I think Lyft has a specific one just for second year students, and I think Uber does as well. But I definitely know about the one by Google. And I'm very sure there's other ones as well that I've seen. I just can't name them off the top of my head. But take advantage of these programs, right? Like these programs are meant to help students who might not have as much work experience because they're in first and second year.
That is true. That is true. But I will say even those internships are quite competitive.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Like
I mean,
because
anything at these companies is
yeah,
competitive.
because I'm pretty sure like imagine if it's a specific second year internship,
Mhm.
you better bet your ass that every single second year student is probably applying to that.
Oh yeah,
But
yeah.
definitely that's a super good tip in terms of sometimes those internships are a little bit less competitive, so you have like a better chance of getting those that. But
Mhm.
yeah,
I mean, still, yeah, it's still going to be uber hard. I'm not saying you're going to get
yeah.
the.
But at
I'm
the
not
end of the
saying you're going
day,
to get the job or anything. Sorry.
like I would just say don't focus too much on the result. And as cliche as it might sound, just put your level best effort. And a lot of it does depend on luck. Like, for example, in my situation, like I know for a fact that I'm definitely not the smartest dude in the world or the smartest guy in the room. There's like a billion kids who are probably better than me at the technical skills or whatever it might be. So a lot of it depends on like luck as well. And
Right.
I think the best thing you can do for yourself is just work hard and put your work ethic to it so you're not really regretting being lazy or something at the end of the day, and just
Mhm.
leave the rest up to luck. I mean, like everything happens for a reason. Whatever the result is, just look at it from a positive aspect
Yeah.
and try to work from there, right?
Like I completely agree with you, and I think
Yeah,
one really unique thing about your story that I think it's a very big learning lesson for all of us is never get discouraged or never give up. Like sometimes the results that we were planning for and hoping for just doesn't happen, and things should happen. It's like with your medical emergency and or at the beginning of the semester, like with sorry, at the beginning of first year summer where you couldn't get those jobs. Like if you get discouraged and let that drag you down, then you're already at the like you're gonna lose the battle. You're already
exactly.
like you might have lost the battle, but you're gonna lose the war if you give up right there.
Yeah, like
um
bro, I 100% agree with you. Like let's rewind back to those first year and second year summers. If I just kind of let's say first, I like to think everything happens for a reason, right? So let's say I
right.
get some like random engineering job that just has me doing Excel for the whole summer in first year.
Yeah.
If I did that, I would never get introduced to this coding camp, which then I would never get introduced to software skills, and then like it's kind of a domino effect, right? And then this wouldn't happen and then that wouldn't happen, and then like everything that happens, like it's going to put you in your future position. So you never know that, even though if something might look negative, it might be the best for you in like 2 or 3 years or 5 years or 10 years,
Yeah. Yeah, I mean,
right?
you haven't told have you told them about your first your job that you had in second year to begin with, the second year summer?
No, that was first year summer. No,
Oh, that was
this is a funny story. I have to tell it.
okay,
So,
yeah,
oh
yeah.
yeah, so first year summer, I'm actually lying when I said I didn't get any job. So I actually got this job which I thought was data entry in first year summer. So I think, as soon as I come back home, like a couple weeks break, and then I start this job. It sounded like a data entry job, so I was like, "Yo, sick! I'm gonna get some dope experience, right?"
Yeah.
So also the hours for this job are super sketchy, and I remember like talking to you and you're like yo, these hours seem hella sketchy. What the
Yeah,
fuck's
I'm like,
going
this
on?
is software. Why are you starting at 5 a.m.?
Yo, yeah, exactly, yo. I mean the hours were from 5:30 a.m. to 2:30 p.m. So
Mhm.
that's also hella sketchy. So the job is like at some random ass factory in like southeast Calgary, and I come in into my first day, and lots of people dressed in like factory uniforms, and I'm like, okay. And I talked to my supervisor, and he's like this super old Indian dude, and he's like, yo, so your first job is to take these heavy ass boxes. It's to wrap these boxes with tape and put these heavy ass boxes in a truck, right?
Yo, data
And
entry, man.
I was like, yo, is this like the training process for data entry? Like, what is this, right?
Yeah.
So I do this for the first day, and I'm thinking like, all right, man, like hopefully I start doing some data entry sometime soon.
Mhm.
And I do that for the first day, and I'm like, okay. Second day comes around, it's the same shit, and I'm like,
Yeah.
yo, what the fuck is going on, right? I'm, I'm like, I'm like, dude, I already go to the gym to lift heavy weights. Why the hell am I doing it from 5:30 a.m. to 2:30
Like, why
p.m.?
am I waking up at 5 a.m. to go do this?
Yeah. So so let's just say, yeah, that I didn't stay at that job for more than a week, and I'm
Mhm.
very happy I didn't. So
E exactly, and I
yeah,
think, and then look what happened, right? Like, he got the opportunity at the coding boot camp,
exactly, yeah.
and
And
if he was still working that job, he might have not got that at all.
yeah, definitely, man. I agree. And one of the quotes that like one of my mentors tells me is like, always think the big picture, and something might look good in the short term, but always think in terms of your long term goals. So
Yeah.
I could have like stayed at that job, made a couple $1,000s that summer, even though it's a really shitty job. But what is that? That's like thinking short term, right? Like you should never
Mhm.
really think about those short term things. You should always think about long term, like improving your skills so where you can be in the future. Because I'm super glad that I didn't continue with that job the whole summer because
Yeah,
it would have totally it would totally hurt my productivity for stuff that actually matters.
for sure, and I mean,
Yeah.
just to preface, though, you were in a situation where you didn't actually need the money because your parents were are well
Yeah,
off
yeah, yeah.
financially,
That
but,
that's
like, of
that's true
course,
as well. Yeah, yeah.
yeah, of course, if
That's
you're
that's
in
true as well. Super blessed for that. But even for yeah, for somebody in a really rough financial situation, I would just say, like life's not fair sometimes, but hey, you can beat other people with your work ethic. Just be the hardest working person in the room. And
mhm,
some of the most successful people usually come from like some of the most unfortunate situations. Just, look at your situation as positive as you can.
yeah, for sure, I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know where this quote's from, but greatness from small beginnings. Well, I think
Yeah,
it's from
man.
Uncharted, the video game, but
Is it? Yo,
yeah, I think
it's an
so.
epic quote, whatever it is.
Yeah, whatever it is, man, but
Yeah,
that yo, it's true, it resonates.
it does for sure. For sure, man.
Alright, I
But
think so let's talk about some more specifics about your, interview at Microsoft, some of the process, the tips that you have, and, uh,
let's do it, man. Yeah.
after let's talk about what you're excited about working on as well. So
Of course. Of course.
let's start with the process. So you applied in what, August or?
So I applied late August for
Yeah.
Microsoft, and
Mhm.
I heard back for an interview around, I think it was very late September,
Okay.
September 20th, 25th ish.
Mhm.
And there's another story behind that actually. Like, I
Okay.
have no idea if this has anything to do with why I got the interview,
Right.
but I remember I was just like fucking around on my laptop, like this one random school night. I was like, yo, I made a couple of changes on my resume in September, even though I
Mhm.
applied in August.
Okay.
So I was like let's go for it. I just changed my resume. Like, you know how you can some career websites allow you to change your resume even though you've
Yeah.
already applied to the position.
Mhm.
So I did that for Microsoft. I changed my resume, I think at 2:30 a.m., 3 a.m. that night, super late. And I hear back for their interview 4 hours later. So I have no idea if that was like pure coincidence, but
Yeah.
I
So what did you
yeah,
put on there? Like
I think I think it was very minor, and I think I attended a hackathon that September, so
okay.
it was a really good experience. So I wanted to put that on as well.
So you
because
threw
it was
on, made a machine learning and AI prediction model, and it was like, bam, all right, here you go. Here's your interview.
I mean, for all the students out there, I guess just don't be discouraged from changing your application, even if you've already applied for a job. Like you never know what's gonna happen.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's for sure. I mean, with these recruiting timelines too, like my experience has been, it's all over the place. Like sometimes I apply for a job like 3 or 4 months in the past, and then 3 or 4 months later, like, "Yo, are you still looking for the job?" And I'm like,
yeah.
"Why didn't you get asked me this like a month or two ago? I would have loved to work like I would love to work here, but
Yeah,
um,
man. It's
like
out
these
of whack
timelines
for
are
sure.
whack."
They
Yeah.
they are they are quite whack
um,
though.
okay, so
But
that was the application process.
yeah,
Um, let's talk about more about the interviews and the interview and stuff. So
let's
what are
do it.
some
Yeah.
tips? Like what is your experience during the Microsoft interview specifically, and what are some tips for other people who are trying to get to a company like Microsoft?
So everyone knows. I don't think I need to touch too much base on the technical aspect. I'm pretty sure all students know that you have to have like a solid technical understanding, and like you need to be able to answer those data structure and algorithm questions. And there's a
Yeah.
bunch of books and websites for that. So I think
Mhm.
that's a staple. Like you should have that like on lock. But
Mhm.
for Microsoft specifically, they're a company that really values like your personality.
Yep.
And throughout the interview process, like it wasn't just technical for me. There was a lot of like making sure you're, a suitable personality, somebody who's like outgoing, somebody who's friendly, somebody who's able to work with the team and resonates with the company values.
Right.
And something that actually helped me a lot and what I would recommend to other people is when you get an interview for a job, looking up a lot of companies, especially the big ones, have these kind of principles or pillars or values that they like to go by.
Right.
So Microsoft specifically, they love to go by this thing that their CEO has called the growth mindset. And
Mhm.
so I just try to keep, subliminally like putting that in my interviewers like minds that like with everything I did, I like to go back to the fact of like this growth mindset. But
Right.
like whatever your company that you're interviewing for, I would really recommend you look at their company values and then try to kind of um, subliminally tell your recruiter like that all your experiences kind of tie back to that theme
Right. Right.
and presenting yourself as a whole personality. And like Microsoft really values a lot of like your behavior and your personality in general. So that was something that I would definitely give a tip to during the interview process. And actually my interviewers actually later told me that one of the reasons they were super like happy with my interview process was actually because of that growth mindset stuff. So it
Okay.
ended up coming in a lot of hope.
Yeah, I think one of the more underrated aspects about the interview that you sort of touched on was that a company wants to know why you want the role outside of the acclaim of the company and the money, right?
Yeah,
And they want you to go like even if you're talking about the acclaim of the company, go specific, right? Like what products are you excited about? What values that does the company have, and really emphasize that resonates with you. All those are key in conveying to in an interview because that really determines not only that, okay, can this guy do the job, but does he fit culturally in our program. And so if we do hire him, can he be like a puzzle piece where we can just plug and play him because he understands the culture and the values that we want to bring to every product or item that we release.
100%, bro. Like at the end of the day, you need to be a likable person and somebody who can work well in like a team situation. You could be the smartest person in the world, but if you don't know how to make your teammates better, or if you don't know how to make people, at least if you don't know how to be workable with other people, then there's no point. Like you could have
Yeah.
all of that knowledge stuck in your brain, but it has no use if it doesn't work well in a team situation, right?
Yeah, especially like engineering. I think that's one of the things that gets lost with these job interviews and coding challenges and everything. At the end of the day, engineering's still a team sport, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Um,
And playing sports all throughout my life like really helped me with that. Like just being a team player, it like don't make it all about like me. Like
yeah,
just present yourself as someone likable, somebody who's able to lead as well as listen and somebody who's able to guide and also
Mhm.
take away from others. Like the worst thing you can do is be that really antisocial person who like is not working through their solutions, not explaining their thought process, and being like extremely quiet, which is also I
Right.
think red flag for many of the recruiters.
Mhm.
And if that's something you need to work on, then hey, that's something else that you can improve upon too, is being able to work in a team situation and being able to work through your thought process, which is something very important in technical questions and
Mhm.
stuff of that sort as well.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And I think all right, let's transition a little more. So actually, before I wrap up Microsoft, what is the most exciting product for you at Microsoft? And for specifically, I don't know how much you can go into detail about this with your NDA, but what are you excited to work on?
Yeah, sure, man. So to answer your first question, my answers actually changed from the last time we talked. A
Okay.
couple days ago, I was looking at this article at LinkedIn, and like being a huge basketball fan, I think Microsoft just recently partnered with the NBA to become their official
Right.
technology and cloud partner.
Right. Right.
And so apparently they're doing some like pretty cool stuff in terms of using their cloud and machine learning applications to do like analysis for NBA and being able to improve all the streaming using their cloud services. So I'm
Oh, okay.
super excited for to see where that partnership's going to go, just because I'm a huge basketball fan.
Yeah, League Pass
Yeah,
is pretty garbage, man. They really got to improve that.
yeah,
I hope Microsoft can help them out.
yeah. Let's see where they go, especially because I think Microsoft in the cloud business, they're a huge dark horse. Like even though Amazon's the king and they're probably going to be the king for a foreseeable future, I think Microsoft's pretty much trying to take their spot, and they're really trying to improve upon a lot of the features in the cloud industry. And
Yeah.
I know Microsoft's cloud is a lot cheaper than Amazon's, and they're
Right.
improving upon a lot of features. So they're really giving Amazon a run for the money in terms of that. So it'll be interesting where they can go.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think
Yeah,
that's one of the biggest changes with the new CEO Satya Nadella. I mean, not new anymore, but I mean,
yeah,
that was one of the biggest like changes he implemented, where he
yeah.
wanted to shift Microsoft's focus into the cloud. So
Hmm.
it's going to be interesting to see where they go forward, and I think they can give Amazon a run for their money. And
Yeah,
let's see what happens with Google as well. But yeah,
yeah. No,
um,
yeah,
yeah,
not to say Steve Ballmer. Like I love Steve Ballmer. He's a great basketball team owner, but I think Satya just outdid him in terms of being the CEO. He really made the company. He really made the company. Burst into a new era of success for sure.
all right, man. These are dangerous games. You never know.
Yeah,
Tomorrow, press release: Steve Ballmer's coming
I,
back to Microsoft.
I love Steve Ballmer, man. I love him. He's the best basketball owner in basketball. But
That's true. Yo,
yo,
he
I
he
gotta
gives
give
the
credit
best
where it's due.
reactions.
Yeah, I love Steve Ballmer, bro.
Um, all right, so let's talk. So now you talked about what the most exciting product is in general, but specifically on stuff you're working on. Like, what is something you're excited about working on? I don't know how specific you can dive into it, but as much as you can, I guess.
So even like I can go pretty specific because even I don't know the specifics of what exactly I'm going to be working on, and
Okay.
they haven't really told me anything I can't say yet because there's not even much that I know. But so what the internship I'm doing, the reason it's really cool is what it is I get partnered with a bunch of other interns, and we
Hmm.
have this product manager that looks over us, and basically for the whole term, we're supposed to either make a project or I think they hand us over a product in its very initial stages, and we're
Okay.
basically supposed to make use of all the new technologies Microsoft is wanting to experiment on, such as let's say their cloud or their HoloLens or their new ML algorithms or whatever, and use those
Okay.
new technologies to make this product in 4 months. And if it's a good enough product, then Microsoft actually releases it. So
Oh,
I'm
sort of
super
like a mini
excited for
startup.
that. Exactly. So it's really cool because you get that kind of mini startup experience, but at the same
Right.
time, you get this big company name. So, and
Hmm.
I think the best aspect of it is you get a lot of exposure to a little bit of entrepreneurship as well as product management, which are things that
Hmm.
I'm also really interested in the future.
Hmm.
So I think it's like an all-encompassing thing.
Hmm. Yeah, for
Yeah,
sure. I think.
would heavily
I think
recommend it.
I'm really excited to hear your experiences about the on the program.
Yeah,
Specifically, you're going to be working at the garage program, right? The garage
exactly.
internship program.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
garage
So
internship. So all
that's
garage internships work that way,
right.
where you get partnered with a bunch of other interns, and you guys pretty much have a mini startup over the next 4 months.
Yeah, that's great. I mean,
Yeah,
now
I,
if you're interested in that type of program, now you know it's a garage internship program at Microsoft,
I'm pretty
and
bummed out that obviously because of all this Corona stuff that it won't be able to happen physically. But I'm also
right.
super interested to see how they kind of integrate everything virtually.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think it's a good time for them to test that as well. About
Yeah,
I know this is sort of getting off topic now, but I know like I'm really excited to see, not excited, but I'm interested to see how companies start shifting into remote work because I think with coronavirus and stuff, a lot of companies are gonna well, this is the biggest testing ground they have for remote work on almost everything they can do. So I think a lot of roles are actually going to start shifting to full remote a lot quicker now because of coronavirus. But let's see what happens. Um,
yeah. I think remote is definitely will save a lot of money, but I can
mhm.
never like imagine a day where like everything is remote
It
because
can't
I
be.
think then
Yeah,
yeah, because then also the company culture part of it, like I think company culture is like a huge part of
yeah.
kind of a workspace. And if everything is remote, then it kind of takes out the whole culture part of it. And that's kind of
See,
what a lot of that is what differentiates companies from another, right?
but that's the interesting, and we're getting more we're getting more off topic. It's fine. I think this is interesting conversation regardless. But that's the interesting thing. That's what I was writing about in that article that I wrote. That I think because of stuff like company culture and productivity and stuff, there's going to be when companies start moving more remote. I think there's going to be startups made to address those factors. I don't know how they're going to do it because otherwise I'd be doing it right now.
Yeah, hey Daivik, new idea, man. New startup. Let's do
Yeah.
it.
Well, man, let's do it. Yeah.
Yeah, who needs another couple of years of school? Let's just drop out and,
Let's
let's
start a
address
company.
this problem.
Hey, man, you never know. But
Yeah.
um, but that's what I'm trying to say. Like, I think as companies move to remote means there's going to be these startups that beyond just Zoom and Slack and stuff that facilitate remote working, and I think trying to maintain that culture, even as a remote thing, is going to be one of those startups. So I think it'll be really interesting to see how people like how different companies address those different issues that come up with remote work.
Yeah, I mean, if a startup solves that issue, I mean, because I just don't see for the foreseeable future how tech can replace like human interaction. Because, like, whatever you say, like something over a video call or over text conversations, it's not the same as getting to know your coworker over like a couple of beers or playing bowling with them or making those genuine relationships.
Yeah, for
And
sure.
I think that's going to be because I know I was watching a YouTube video like a long time ago, maybe like a year or two ago, but it popped up in my mind recently because I think there was this one guy who did like a mock interview with Google,
Mhm.
and he was actually asking the recruiter about like how they go about remote positions and stuff, and they said
Right,
one of the reasons that like Google as a company like doesn't like to give over remote positions is like purely because of the culture aspect of it. They said
right.
like they like to have everyone physically present at the office just because it like cultivates like human interaction and like really good company culture, and in turn like increases productivity probably.
Yeah, mhm.
Yeah,
I think
but
it depends, right? Like, even as an employee, though, there's also benefits to being fully remote because A, you can live anywhere. You don't have to necessarily pay extremely crazy rents in California, New York, wherever else Google is, because Google's in a lot of places, but especially
yeah,
the main
that's true.
hubs.
That's true. Yeah.
Um, so you don't have to pay crazy rent there. Second, you don't have to do a long commute every morning because along with that crazy rent, you're probably living far away from work, depending where the work is situated. And then third, you get to spend more time with family because you don't have those two issues right there.
Yeah,
So
there are a lot of pros for it for sure, and I can definitely see because of this whole coronavirus situation, companies shifting more towards remote because it
yeah,
probably saves a lot of resources for both the
exactly,
employer and employee. So
exactly. Like I mean, Google does like crazy perks and stuff,
yeah,
like with free
and I
food
can
catering
definitely
and
see it.
everything. But
I can definitely see it being a thing for like contractors or like temporary workers,
yeah,
where if they're only with a company for say a set amount of time, it can probably be done like fully remote if it's some if it's a job that can be done fully remote, like software or something like that.
Hmm.
But
Yeah.
yeah, man, I think there's a couple of positives that'll come out of it as well.
Hmm. Okay, I think sort of on the same boat, but still different. Um, One of the things that's been really staggering to me is the amount of students that have lost their internships this summer. And I think, like we were talking about before, one of the unique things about your situation is how you were able to, uh, you know, get get positions like Microsoft and Deloitte and stuff without having that solid work experience like most other candidates do. And I think a lot of students right now are asking, what can they do to build skills during the summer? Because it's getting late for a lot of them to get internships. And I know we touched upon it like in the past too, but I think let's rehash it and discuss it a little more.
Yeah.
But what, especially for software engineering internships, because that's what you have the most experience for now. How do you think students should utilize the summer or can best utilize the summer to help them out for the future? And like that can be in a professional manner with work and stuff, or even as a to grow as a human.
Yeah, definitely, man. I think the first step is don't be sad. Don't waste time being sad about it or thinking you failed something. Like, I think that's super useless. Just make the best of out of the opportunity you have. And in
Right.
terms of software engineering, I think something that's really good is maybe looking at the roles that you want to do and building specific like skills that would help you do those roles. And
Hmm.
I think a good way of doing that, and you're really good at this, is like networking, where just reaching out to people who are actually in those positions, whether it be interns, product managers, recruiters, software engineers, and telling them your situation and not going to them with the approach of, hey, can I get a job? But more like, hey, what skills do you think I should work on? And kind of being under their mentorship. And that's something that if you do on a consistent basis, like you'll get to know so much insight and get so much experience that it'll be almost as good as like working as an internship. And I mean, nowadays, I'm a huge proponent of online courses. I think there's a lot of stuff you can learn if you choose the right ones. Specifically, if you want to build very like software engineering skills or data science skills, I think a really good website is EDX
Right.
because a lot of the courses on there are like university verified by like Harvard and MIT and all those like fancy Ivy universities. So
Mhm.
you can definitely get some quality material on there. And again, man, just if you want to do something in terms of a project, do something that you're passionate about. So it
Mhm.
could be like sports, like playing something to do with playing music, and try to tie your technical skills with like your passions that are outside that. And if you can make a cool project that ties both of them together and
Yeah.
know every step of the process, I think that's super impressive for like future job recruiting and stuff like that.
Yeah. No, I think that's great advice. Sort of in the same way to start off, I think the biggest thing I think outside of course, outside of the deaths and the people getting infected and stuff, I think the biggest you know other crusher about this pandemic is people letting their spirits get low. So I think the first thing is trying to keep your spirits high. And I know the situations are really fluctuating, and sometimes it's natural just to be low because of what you're going through. But at the same time, try to keep your spirits high. Try to help people out, keep their spirits high as well, because I think that'll go a long way in trying to address a lot of the big issues that come with this pandemic, regardless of your situation. And you know, also with that is that you have to recognize that this is bigger than you. So it's not necessarily anything you've done wrong. It's just this is how the situation is.
Yeah, and
Um, and
just
and
yeah, just like realize that it's okay to feel sad. It's okay to go through those emotions. It's totally natural, but don't
Mhm,
let them take over you, like you're so much better than that. There's so much potential inside of you, and
mhm,
like there's so many things you could be doing that'll benefit you so much in the future. So just don't dwell on all that bullshit. Like, just it's okay to feel sad and stuff, but like if you get to work and you can even just improve yourself, like pick up a guitar, like learn how to play the guitar, or I don't know,
yeah,
learn a new skill, read a lot of books. Like I think reading is like a lost art, man. You can gain so much value from just reading books, and you can get so much inspiration from that sort of stuff.
Hmm.
It can really change your life and stuff
And
for the future.
and that's the thing. With the summer, I think a lot of kids, or students are looking at it where, they don't have an internship or their internship got rescinded. And that's it. Like this whole summer was wasted. But I think, like you were saying, that second year summer was so influential for you because you got that reality check and you were able to sort of look back into some of the passions you had outside of this the grind in tech. Um, and sort of as a human, sort of start forming yourself as a more complete part, like as a more complete form, right? Like where you
Yeah,
have both sides of those together rather than just being part of the grind and just having to wanting to advance your career. You can realize that both are needed in a balance. And I think once you can try to achieve that balance, honestly, both those domains will go a lot forward, a lot more forward. And so I think as like my opinion on it is that this can also be like, yeah, if you want to go career minded this internship, I'll tell you some other stuff you can do right after this about how you can advance your career. But if like honestly consider doing some of the stuff, some other stuff like some of this old passions that you have, spending time with family, which is very underrated. I think, especially as a student, we get so caught up in this grind. And like for me, with Waterloo, I've been flipping internships and school for the last 3 to 4 years. So having this opportunity to spend with my family is huge. And I definitely don't think that should be taken for granted.
yeah. I'm actually
So
super happy for you, man. I know this is gonna be like the first time in like what 3 or 4 years you're gonna spend some like quality months with your family. So that's like super
yeah,
dope. That's
no,
super dope.
exactly, exactly, and that's
Yeah.
that's what I'm looking forward to it now. Of course, like I would love to be in California, but at the same time, like that this is a situation, and I get to rekindle some old friendships, and at the same time also spend time with family.
Hey, don't
So
worry, you got plenty of California sun in the future for you.
yeah, hopefully, man. I mean,
Yeah,
good thing is it's summer as well, so I'm not going to be missing California as much as I would in the winter.
that's
But
true. That's facts. Yeah,
But yeah, no. So think about it like that, and then from a job perspective, I think one thing you really hit was the networking part, and I think what's really underrated about it is a lot of people just think about networking as a way to get a job from somebody. So they will reach out to recruiters or even like software engineers and stuff and say, "Hey, can I get a referral for this position?" But just like especially right now given the situation, if they can't give you a job, like a lot of people can't give you a job,
yeah,
but what they can give you is insights into the positions that they're doing. And I
yeah,
know that's one of the things that I did like even before all of this, when I was first starting off and wanted to go into product management, is I reached out to product managers on LinkedIn and asked them a certain set of questions just about their experiences, about skills that I could gain and how I should proceed forward. And I sent my resume over so they could critique it. And that went such a long way in helping me out, get to where I am right now. Because I didn't go with the intent of, oh, I want a job from them. I went from the intent that I want to learn from you to help myself grow. And so I think that's definitely a good way of approaching that. Don't only just look for jobs this summer, look for ways, network with people and ask for the ways they say that you can improve your chances in the future for a certain job that they might have. Um, I think that's definitely a good way to go. What did you say?
So yeah, of course, I definitely agree with that, man. And not
Yeah.
only does that make you stand out, because like imagine like thousands of students, they reach out to these people every single day, just asking for a job, and just think about like what the person who's on the other side of the message thinks. Like they're probably really annoyed about that stuff, or
Mhm.
maybe not annoyed, but maybe everyone kind of just blends in. So not only do you stand out by asking for genuine mentorship and genuine help, like who else are you going to learn, like who else is going to be better at teaching you how to get a product management job than an actual product manager, right? Like
Exactly.
you can watch all these YouTube videos, you can do all these online courses, you can do all these classwork by your university professors, but at the end of the day, like a product manager, a software engineer, or a mechanical engineer, like the person
In the
actually
industry.
working the job is going to be the best person to tell like the steps you should take to succeed in that position because they're actually in the middle of doing it.
Yeah, and add on top of that, I think because of the current situation, a lot of people are opening their doors and they're trying to help as much as they can. I can speak for myself too. Like recently, I decided to open up my calendar and let people like book a time to talk with me on one on ones, and those one on ones are meant to help however I can, whether that be prepping for interviews, looking at resumes, giving advice for what skills they can build over the summer. I'm trying to help wherever I can, and I know there's a lot of other likewise, like-minded individuals right now who are trying to help with the crisis because everybody realizes that this is unprecedented and that people could use our help. So
Yeah, man, I think
definitely tap
that's
into those
super dope
resources.
that you're doing that, and I
Yeah,
think right
no,
now that's the best thing people can do because we're like everyone's going and there's a lot of people who are going through the same thing, and everyone's gonna get through this together. So there's no better way than just reaching out and uh, yeah, it's gonna go miles ahead of you. Like
yeah,
just doing a short thing will help you a lot in the future. So
for sure. And yeah,
I think
like
that's dope.
like if you want to book a one on one with me, you can go on my LinkedIn profile, and you can book some time and talk. And that's I think that can be valuable. Not only like don't only book time with me, book with time with other people, and that can be a good way of approaching the summer and trying to figure out how you should go forward. So yeah, I think that's a pretty good summary, pretty good discussion that we've had. Do you have any other topics or last words you want to say?
Nothing much, man. Just thanks for having me on, brother. It was a good time talking to you, and
Yeah,
I look forward to seeing you hopefully in this hopefully soon.
yeah, man. Hopefully, I can actually dap you up next time I see you.
Yo,
It's
yeah.
not
All
it's
these
not a
Corona Zoom apps, I'm getting tired of them, man.
yeah, exactly.
We
Like the
can't
virtual
have a chill
background.
night with can't have a chill night with the boys. It's just it hits different in person than on Zoom.
Yeah, exactly, man. When I whoop you in 2K in person, it hits different, you know?
Yeah. But as like some closing thoughts to
Yeah.
any of the students who are like really down on the current situation, I would say, um, hey, it's okay to feel this way. Everyone's going through this together. And
Mhm.
no matter what situation you're in, I always believe that like hard work at the end of the day beats everything. And I would if anyone's like looking for a source of motivation, I actually read this book recently called Relentless. It's by Michael Jordan's trainer actually, and I would say
Yeah.
it's an amazing book to give you like motivation or inspiration to like just work harder than your opponent, and it's super cool. So a quick plug for that book if anyone's looking for some Corona motivation to get out of
Mhm.
bed and just kill it.
Yeah. I think Eddie mentioned that, during his podcast as well, so
Oh,
clearly it's a
did he?
very popular book.
That's lit.
Um, and oh, yo, have you checked out The Last Dance yet?
Oh, I've watched the first episode. I didn't get time to watch the rest, but I'm
Yo, it's
definitely
pretty
gonna
good,
do
man.
that. Is it good?
Yo, it's pretty good, man. I just wanted to add as a side note, Jerry Krause, how did you break up the best dynasty of all time? How?
Oh
And how
man.
does Scottie Pippen take a 9-year, $19 million contract? I don't know.
Yeah.
But
But
hey,
yo, this thing's going around social media. Apparently Scottie Pippen made more throughout his career than Michael Jordan did. So man was balling at the end of the day.
wait, how?
He got a big contract from I think Portland
Oh,
after
yeah,
from the
yeah,
Bulls because they're like, "Yo, you got this shitty ass contract when you were in your prime. We'll just pay for it. It's whatever."
bro. I couldn't believe that Scottie Pippen took a 9-year, $19 million contract. But okay,
Even the
I'm gonna
biggest scrubs in the NBA are getting like more than that now. It's
bro,
crazy.
like Anthony Bennett probably made more money than Scottie Pippen. But
Yeah.
all right,
I
I'm gonna
agree.
wrap this podcast up before we become the NBA podcast. Thank you so much,
Hey,
everyone, for listening. I hope this was helpful, and I'm gonna have some more content coming out soon to help out. And otherwise, I'll see you till next episode. Take care, guys.
peace out.